What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports back to you guys with another video. In this video, I'm going to be previewing the Pittsburgh Steelers 2019 halfbacks for the current halfbacks that they have on their roster for OTAs and minicamp practices. Now, if there's another team that you guys want me to do and preview another team's position, let me know that team down in the comment section down below, and also the position for that team that you guys will want me to preview, and I will make sure to do that video. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a lot of halfbacks on their roster. A lot of these guys are fairly talented. Pittsburgh, I believe, this season in 2019, they're going to probably want to have 4 running backs going into the season on their roster. They'll probably keep one other halfback on the practice squad just in case an injury happens so they can move them up, and they'll probably cut the rest. So this Pittsburgh Steelers halfback group, RB1, we already know James Conner is the starting running back going into this season. He was very, very good, taking over for Le'Veon Bell as Le'Veon Bell sat out the last season. He's now part of the New York Jets. James Conner had 973 rushing yards, 12 rushing touchdowns, was averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Also had 55 receptions, 497 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. And I believe James Conner was going to be a very good replacement from the start, which is why I drafted him in my fantasy football league this past season. And the reason why was because I knew how good that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line was. And I knew how good James Conner has been. And we already know James Conner's story. Fought cancer during his days playing for Pittsburgh, came back, had a very successful season with Pittsburgh, and also got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, James Conner, a big aspect of his game that really improved was his ability to catch passes. Now, when he was first drafted, he wasn't really that good as a receiver, so Pittsburgh made him work on that. And you know, Pittsburgh now they want running backs that are able to catch out the backfield, and James Conner had to improve that area of his game, which he really improved, and he should be even more improved going into the 2019 NFL season. So James Conner is going to have the potential to put up even better stats. Last season, he went to the Pro Bowl, and this season, it's going to be an even better season if he's able to stay healthy. So James Conner, he's the RB1 going forward. RB2 for right now, Jaylen Samuels. Now, Jaylen Samuels, when James Conner wasn't able to play against the New England Patriots and the Saints, Jaylen Samuels was a guy who stepped up. In that New England Patriots game, he went absolutely crazy. He had over 142 total yards, 19 carries. That dude went absolutely berserk against the New England Patriots. And I wasn't surprised because when you look at how good that Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, Pro Football Focus rated Pittsburgh's offensive line as #1 in the NFL. And that showed because Jaylen Samuels was the 4th-string running back going into training camp for the Pittsburgh Steelers last year behind Stephen Ridley. And look at all the success that he had when he was able to get significant playing time. So Jaylen Samuels, I'm expecting a solid year out of him. Obviously, we know James Conner is going to be RB1. Jaylen Samuels, he should be RB2. And I also read an article about him losing weight as well. He wants to slim down so he can be a little bit more elusive. Now, Jaylen Samuels last season, 256 rushing yards, didn't have any touchdowns, but he averaged 4.6 yards per carry. Also was very good near the end of the season, catching passes for the Pittsburgh Steelers, 26 receptions, 199 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns, which didn't really catch me by surprise since the fact that when he was coming into the draft in 2018 for NC State, he was listed as a tight end, fullback, and halfback. So he was a very versatile player, but nobody really knew what he was good at, which is why he fell so far in the draft to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And this season, I expect him to be put in certain formations and sets to better utilize his abilities of being versatile. I believe we could see him line up at tight end a little bit in a couple of formations as well, near the goal line as well. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if we ran a couple of split back formations with James Conner and Jaylen Samuels both in the backfield as well, to both utilize their abilities to catch passes out of the backfield. Now, Jaylen Samuels, he's going to be having some competition against the next guy on this list, which is Benny Snell, who the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted 4th in the 4th round of the 2019 NFL Draft. Now, Benny Snell, he reminds me a lot of James Conner coming out of college. Very good in yards after contact. And Benny Snell was basically the whole entire Kentucky offense. He accounted for 60% of that Kentucky Wildcats offense. No joke. Saw that in the article. around the time that the NFL draft started. This guy is a beast. He was my favorite player coming out of this year's NFL draft class, and I was very ecstatic when my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, drafted him. This guy's a workhorse, man. He's has a very high character. He's very highly motivated, has a very high motor, and this guy just falls forward every time he gets tackled. It seems like he's falling forward for 2 or 3 extra yards. He's very hard to bring down. He's a very aggressive runner, loves contact, and that's the thing that people pointed out during the Pittsburgh Steelers OTAs and minicamp is that Benny Snell, even without pads on, you can tell that he was a guy who loves contact. And it's going to be very interesting to see what Benny Snell finally does during the Pittsburgh Steelers training camp and during preseason. I believe, and a lot of people also believe, that he can be competing with Jalen Samuels for that RB2 spot behind James Conner. And I believe Benny Snell, he's a throwback to, the traditional running backs that the Pittsburgh Steelers done had in the past. Those guys who you hand the ball off aren't the fastest guys, but you get on the ball and they're already putting their head down, looking for contact. So I believe we're going to see a lot of Benny Snell, probably in formations like on the goal line, 4th and inches, 3rd and inches, plays and formations like that would involve a workhouse and a power back like Benny Snell to be utilized. I think those are kind of the situations we could be seeing Benny Snell in. But overall, unless somebody gets injured, like James Conner suffers an injury, I don't really expect to see a lot of Benny Snell this season, unless it's on the goal line and on 3rd and inches or 4th and inches or a situation like that. So now the fourth running back that we're going to get into, Trey Edmunds. Now, yes, Trey Edmunds, he is the brother of Terrell Edmunds and Tremaine Edmunds, who plays for the Buffalo Bills, and Terrell Edmunds, who plays safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was the first round pick for the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2018 NFL draft. And he was waived by the New Orleans Saints September 18th of 2018. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed him to the practice squad that same day on September 18th, and he also got promoted to the 53-man roster early on in December. So Mike Tomlin came out and said that he wasn't just brought on to, fill a spot in the roster because of injuries. He actually feels that Trey Edmunds has some potential and he can contribute on this roster. And basically, Mike Tomlin was very high on him when it came to contributing on special teams. And I also believe he could make the roster as a special teamer. He also has very good speed, and he's a one-cut back, put his foot in the dirt, cut directions. He also has very good vision, very good patience, and he's also very good in bouncing off contact as well, like the other three Pittsburgh Steelers running backs that we have mentioned so far. The next running back that we have on this list is halfback Malik Williams. Now, Malik Williams was waived by the Atlanta Falcons. He got picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers in February of 2019. Now, during his days playing in college for the University of Louisville, he didn't have a lot of production. His last season playing for Louisville, he had 86 carries in 2017, but he was averaging 8.6 yards per carry. He also had some athleticism as he had a crazy hurdle and the preseason for the Atlanta Falcons. Now the athleticism isn't off the charts, but he has some athleticism there. He also has very solid size as well. And I don't really know at this point. I really want to wait until we get to training camp and preseason to make a no assumption if he can make the roster or not. I think he has a solid chance of making the practice squad as well. I like what I saw in a couple of preseason games that he played in for Atlanta. And I also like the couple of plays that he had playing for the University of Louisville as well. Next halfback that we have on this list is halfback TRAVON McMillian. Now, TRAVON McMillian was an undrafted free agent out of the University of Colorado from this past year's draft. He went undrafted. For Colorado, he was solid. He had 1,009 rushing yards and also had 7 touchdowns in his graduate transfer season with Colorado. Now, the thing about TRAVON McMillian, he gets extra yards after every run. It seems like this guy is falling forward, kind of like what you see Ezekiel Elliott doing. And also, he's very physical and has very good patience and visions, like the other Pittsburgh Steelers backs on his roster. But the thing about him is that he doesn't have breakaway speed, and he's very slow at changing directions as well. So he's not very shifty, not going to break away from anybody, but he has very good patience, very physical, and like the other Pittsburgh Steelers running backs. So pretty much these running backs are pretty much dead even in what they can do. Both very good, bouncing off tacklers, excelling and getting yards after contact as well. Also very patient runners as well. But a thing to monitor about that is the running back that's going to make the roster is the running back who's going to be able to do the most in the passing game. That's something that the Pittsburgh Steelers the last couple of years have emphasized. They want a running back that's able to catch passes at the backfield as well. And one of these running backs are going to make the roster based on that ability, because the last couple of running backs that I mentioned, Trey Edmunds, Malik Williams, and TRAVON McMillian, all three of these running backs are pretty much dead even in their abilities. Don't really have any breakaway speed or any crazy athleticism, but they have very good patience, and they also excel in getting yards after contact. So one of these guys are going to have a trait that separates them from the rest of these running backs, and that's how one of these guys is going to make the roster. So the next halfback that we have, the last halfback on this list, is Ralph Webb. Now, Ralph Webb was very good for Vanderbilt a couple of seasons ago. He was very productive, one of the best rushers that Vanderbilt has ever had in their program history. He went undrafted, went to the New England Patriots practice squad in September of last year in 2018. Then he bounced around and went to Tampa Bay's practice squad back in November. Then he finally got picked up by the Pittsburgh Steelers practice squad late in December. So he is a free agent for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think he's more of a camp body. I'm eager to see what he does in training camp, because he has some explosiveness to him. I think this is a very underrated guy, and I think he could pretty much has a good chance of making the roster as well. I think he probably has the best chance out of any of those guys that I mentioned, the Trey Edmunds, Malik Williams, and TRAVON McMillian. I really like Ralph Webb. I think he didn't really get a fair chance with the New England Patriots since they have a very crowded halfback roster themselves, So I really like Ralph Webb. I think he's a guy to keep tabs on and make sure to remember his name, because I wouldn't be surprised if he made the Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster, because I really like what he did at Vanderbilt. He had very good film at Vanderbilt. So this is a guy that I like the most out of all the running backs that I mentioned, other than, the guys like Benny Snell, James Conner, and Jalen Samuels, who we know are already going to make it to the roster. So Ralph Webb is a guy who is my favorite to make it to the roster out of the couple of running backs that I mentioned. So let me know what you guys think about the Pittsburgh Steelers halfback position. Let me know who would be the starter. Who one of these guys out of Trey Edmunds, Malik Williams, TRAVON McMillian, and Ralph Webb can make the Pittsburgh Steelers 53-man roster. And comment a team who you would like me to preview their position next. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.